Good morning, everyone. My name is Andrew Hall, but you can call me Dr. Kennard. This is the Disappointed Cat Morning Show. We're going to be covering many stories of Schadenfreude, stories that'll make your heart feel good about being a heart, and of course, they'll just be, I can't believe this is still a thing kind of stories. Let's do something funny, everyone. This is something musical and funny, too. Does it have to do with Oompa Loompas?
Come on, my fellow Oompas, I pray that you take heed. Today's the day we win the fight against Willy Wonka's greed. He took us from our homeland, he put us all in chains. To make gobstoppers and Wonka bars, our loss has been his gain. Oompa Loompa do and Oompa Loompa day. We will not work until we get our pay.
Life without unions, everyone. Oompa Loompas. No pay. I hope everyone's doing well this morning. I'm going to say hello to folks in the chat here. If you're watching on Facebook, there's a link to YouTube that you can join us in the chat, because then it'll be more interactive. And it's a lot more fun. You'll see me interacting with the chat quite a bit. John Hudson, the only humor in Texas is Texas, referring to the post, the satirical bit I wrote in my blog this morning. All right. Good morning, Americats. Good morning, Blazing Wizard Pope. I hope you're doing well. Good morning from the West Coast. Is it morning already? It is. It is. Tobin Templeman with a joke this morning, which I thought was funny. Why weren't there multiple seasons of crucifixions? Because people lost interest after the pilot episode. That's Pilate, for those of you who can't read it, who aren't reading it. All right. Remember Samy Jenkins? You know, it's funny, because some of you know me on Facebook and message me directly, and every once in a while you'll just catch me in the midst of one of my fits or one of my anger episodes. Yeah, that happened yesterday. Jess M, good morning. Eden's Aquaponics. Wow. That sounds very, very cool. Good morning, Derek. Good morning. Derek, but no dominoes. Was that a reference to Eric Clapton? That wasn't a reference to Eric Clapton, one of his many bands that he was in. All right. So what are we doing here this morning? Well, I should do announcements. I wasn't here yesterday. I was at a interview for a job, which went really well. It could have went sideways, but it didn't. The conversation went really well. It looks like I'm going to get a, I don't know, there's chickens and there's eggs, and I shouldn't be counting the chickens before the eggs hatch or before the whatever the metaphor is, everyone. So I'm waiting to hear back if I get the job. Will it be a transformative thing in my life? Sure it will be. Will I have to change the hours to the show? A little bit. But I have plans. I have schemes. But I'm getting ahead of myself because I still don't know if I have the job or not. It's within the field. It's working with people who have disabilities. As many of you know, that is how I pay the bills here, because that's just how I pay the bills. Some of you may be asking yourselves, what does Andy do when he wakes up at 1 o'clock in the morning and can't get back to sleep? Right? Because I was so exhausted yesterday. My weekend was crazy. I was so exhausted. I fell asleep on the couch at 7 o'clock. 7:30 maybe. I woke up at 1 o'clock in the morning. It's like, man, how am I gonna spend my time before I can go back to sleep? So I was reading through some of this book here, the Atheist Handbook to the Old Testament, Joshua Brown. He is Bowen. He's coming on the channel, of course. And I've been talking about it. If you want the book, the link to the book is in the description, actually. And so he starts off with a small synopsis of the Old Testament from the creation to Moses' story. And now he's going through some basic history of the ancient Near East, Middle East. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm in that section of the book. Very enjoyable. I've learned things, especially about the history of the Middle East, of the, Mesopotamia. I'm on the Sargon of Akkad part right now. No, not the misogynistic, not that lunatic YouTuber, right? Would-be politician YouTuber. I haven't been following his exploits at all lately because I'm too busy with drama. But so that's the book that I'm reading through. That's what I do when I wake up. And that's how I start my day sometimes too. All right. You want to do memes, everyone? Lee. No, Digital Hammurabi. Well, hey, I didn't even know that you were going to be here. And look at me, I'm plugging your book. Wow. You just happen to catch me when I'm doing something good. To tell you the truth, when I tell people, I actually don't like telling people, I don't like promoting myself to the point that when I do something good for other people, I'm like, you can't tell anybody I'm doing this. It completely ruins my street cred, right? Quick spliff. Go back to sleep. All right. Very good. Lee, hope you're doing well. Coffee, drinking, and or sodas. Yeah, from getting back to sleep. Yeah. So I don't drink coffee late in the afternoon. My last cup, I titrate out my caffeine pretty well. My last cup is around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, typically. That helps me power through the rest of the day. I am enjoying it. It's a good read. And I was going to start off today's show with a bit of shtick from Herman Melville's Moby Dick, my edition here. I was going to start off with Call Me Kennard, but I decided not to. But you talk about dense prose. The book that I'm reading through right now, The Atheist Handbook to the Old Testament, Part 1, is definitely not. It is meant for the layperson. And that's what's so great about it. One of the many things that's so great about it. Okay. You want to do memes? Let's do memes before we start talking about Moby Dick, indeed. Before we start talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene. Who wants to talk about them? I don't know. First meme, everyone, to put a smile on our faces. Flat earthers, when they realize they have been breathing from the atmosphere and not from the atmo flat. That was stupid. I thought it was hilarious. Flat earthers. No, they're not breathing from the atmo flat. They're drinking from the atmosphere. Second meme of the day. Prayer, like chronic gambling, you never talk about your losses. I was at a casino Sunday night. Maybe I did a little bit too much drinking. I was watching a buddy of mine do some comedy, but I didn't spend a penny when I was there, except on drinking. Because I'm not a good gambler. Why would I do something if I'm not good at it? Last meme. Being a soft, cuddly baby, being an a-hole, and there are the cats, right there in the middle. What an incredible Venn diagram. It speaks truth, everyone. It speaks truth. So I wasn't here yesterday. I hope you all enjoyed Reverend Brother Heathen's Best Advice Ever episode. For those of you who haven't watched it or don't know what the show's all about, Best Advice Ever is a show where excellent people, awesome people come on and talk about the best advice they ever got. I dropped an episode yesterday because I wasn't here of Reverend Brother Heathen. But on Sunday, since I was watching some live comedy, I dropped Joe Badon, filmmaker Joe Badon's Best Advice Ever. And if you haven't seen it, it's really incredible. Not because of me, but because of the guest, right? Joe Badon, he's an independent filmmaker. He was also a minister for 12 years, like a holy roller minister, as he describes himself. And his advice was just quit. Just quit. And it's a short episode. I think it ran under 20 minutes. But sometimes you should just quit a thing, doing something, right? All right, those are the memes. KCA Randy, good morning. Just finished the cleverly titled Phil Ferguson's show with a really good guest. Oh, really? Phil Ferguson, tell me if I am correct. Phil Ferguson does financial stuff, right? I believe he was actually on the old Naked Dino podcast, and we were talking about Bitcoin. This is like maybe 5 years ago or so. He was a good guest. Smart guy. First, these two. So Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz. It's as if herpes and cancer teamed up together. All right, maybe that's unfair, everyone. Maybe that's unfair to herpes and cancer, right? Maybe that's unfair. But the good thing about it is that they got trolled, and it was caught on camera, and they got trolled by this guy right here. This guy in the middle. All right, let's the link to the story is in the description. The internet prankster, Walter Masterson, looks almost too happy to be there. Well, look at this guy. He does look exceptionally happy. Why? Because he knows he's about to troll these two people right there. These two would-be fascists. Dressed in a shirt, shorts, and a bucket hat, all printed in the American flag, he's standing next to GOP reps Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz, two of the most contentious figures, that's a nice way of saying it, in the House of Representatives. He's at what appears to be an America First rally staged by the two politicians at a beach in Southern California. Yeah, they weren't allowed to get a legitimate spot, a venue, so they decided to do it on a beach. Let's continue with the story. 3 separate venues in Southern California canceled scheduled events with Matt Gaetz and Greene, resulting in the two holding a protest outside City Hall in Riverside, a city an hour away from LA. Oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm so excited, Masterson tells the two of them during what appears to be a photo opportunity. Both Greene and Gaetz are grinning, holding their thumbs up. Wait for it. Wait for it. I mean, everyone thinks you're crazy. I don't think you're crazy. People think you're a pedophile. I don't think you're a pedophile at all. I don't think he's a pedophile at all. Not at all. And I mean, both of them can be crazy. Gaetz, there are allegations against Gaetz, as you probably already know. In March, Gaetz was placed under federal investigation for allegations of sexual relations with an underage girl. Joel Greenberg, a former associate, pleaded guilty in May for sex trafficking of a minor and bribing an official, among other charges. Oh, it's been a story we've been covering here on the Disappointed Cat Morning Show. The charges against you are totally false, Masterson yells as he's escorted away by a security guard. The video of this incident was shared on Masterson's TikTok and anti-Trump PAC Midas Touches Twitter, where it has 12.8 million views as of Monday afternoon. Masterson has done this sort of thing before, crashing school board meetings, anti-vax rallies, and an event for My Pillow founder Mike Lindell in the past few months. People ask me what my dream is, what I would do if I had a lot of money in my pocket, which I don't. But if I did, I would fund an army of pranksters out there, an illegal team for the pranksters. And I would dream of a world of an insurgency of pranksters against people like these people right there. They are ripe for satire. They are ripe for pranking. And that's what I would do. I would fund Operation Mayhem and take part in Operation Mayhem, to tell you the truth. Now, you may ask me, Andy, how will you ever get money working in human services? And you don't even run ads, really, on this show. That is correct. I don't, because this is totally viewers supported. Any money I get from this is from people who believe in what I'm doing or what the shows I do on this channel. So YouTube members, patrons, thank you. If you have a couple of shekels, please throw them my way. If you cannot afford it, then please do not. Times are tough for many people, and just enjoy the programming. All right, are we going to do a video? Yeah, we should do a video. What are we going to do? The white privilege card or the Florida man? Yeah, I know. They're two different stories. The Florida man sentenced or the white privilege card found? You know, I think I'm going to check. I'm going to tear up the script and I'm going to look at the comments first. Simply Secular Dave. Why do we call it birthday and not a birth anniversary? Birthday is closer. I mean, it is more succinct, right? All right. All right, let's do this thing. I guess we're going to go with the white privilege card, everyone. Is a white privilege card a real thing? Well, sure, if you make them yourself. The name of this video is White Privilege Card Found in Raid of Men Charged with Plot to Bomb Democrats. Let's check it out.
Joyce, thank you very much for joining us tonight. I have to say, reading these legal filings today was like reading about what the filings would have been, it feels like, if Timothy McVeigh had been caught in advance.
I think that's exactly the feeling that you get here. This is a big arsenal that these two had amassed. They've got 5 pipe bombs. They've got fully automatic weapons. They've got 45 to 50 guns and thousands of rounds of ammunition. If this is how you entertain yourself, well, that means that you're a criminal. And to your point, Tim McVeigh, who is the touchstone for so many of these people, they all use the anarchist's cookbook as a way to figure out how to make their devices and how to target their locations. And they all look back to Timothy McVeigh with this singular focus on using violence to overthrow the government and using their own acts of violence to radicalize other people to their cause.
I just want to put up on the screen an image that was included in the criminal complaint filed in court of this white privilege card that Ian Rogers had. He had this in his home. This was part of what was collected in the raid.
All right, so I just want to go over what the white privilege card actually reads to everyone. Trump's everything. Oh, clever play on words. White privilege card. Oh, look, with all the 45s, 00 numbers too. Member since birth, good through death, and cardholder scot-free. Wow, clever. A little on the nose for me, but. And thank you, Blazing Wizard Pope, for the super sticker. It is appreciated. All right, let's go back to this white privilege card nonsense.
The white privilege card trumps everything. This is what these people believe in. Joyce, it seems to me that as witnesses against and about themselves, they are very clear.
They don't make any bones about their ideology. They don't make any bones about their allegiance to the former president. The difficult issue here, and I think, Lawrence, you're right to say it may not be untangled in the criminal justice system, is not just what their motivation is, but also whether or not the former president holds some share of responsibility for their conduct, not in the...
All right, we'll just cut it off right there because we saw the white privilege card. And I love the rhetorical question whether or not the president bears some kind of responsibility for this kind of behavior, for his followers preparing to blow up Democrats. It's almost as if you would have to ask if rocks are hard and water's wet. The quick answer is yes. The quick answer is yes. And the extended answer is yes. The president does bear responsibility. All right. Scot-free, right, John Hudson? What a bunch of lunatics. So yeah, the white privilege card was found basically with a bunch of would-be domestic terrorists. I feel like Joe Biden's about to say, come on, man. Hey, remember Samy Jenkins? Thank you very much. My wife yells at me for paying these stupid atheists. Right? Well, if it makes you feel any better, Samy, this is probably the stupidest atheist that you could give anything to. So, I mean, in some way, you're really shooting for the stars on this. Oh, Sean says there is no limit to the levels of stupid with these people. This is true. And Dr. Mordecai, glad to see you're here. Jesus, forgive me for missing the Magic Cat show. Amen. Amen. Oh, where's Biscuit? Simply Secular Dave. Biscuit is downstairs. She doesn't like I think the volume and the whole craziness that goes up here. When the girlfriend is here, she will just hang out while she does, conference, kind of telemeetings and everything. But my girlfriend isn't as animated, right? And so I think that's why Biscuit won't hang out here with me while I'm doing the show. It's unfortunate. And also, whenever she gets close to me, I pick her up to show you all. All right. What's the next? Oh, this. So when I read you this title, right, to this news story, you're going to say, I didn't even know that was a thing. Or you're going to say, I could see that happening. It is the United States of America. This does have to do with the police in the USA. Here it is. And remind you, this is progressive stuff here. Illinois is the first state to tell police they can't lie to minors in interrogations. I just need you to wrap your minds around that. And I'm apologizing to any brain cells people overseas might be, or people here in the States when they're looking at this. Illinois is the first state to tell police they can't lie to minors in interrogations. Now, some of you might be going, I didn't even know the police could lie to minors in interrogations. And others are saying, well, yes. I'm just imagining what the chat is right now. Well, yes. Anything that's horrible that the police can do, they probably do. Let's take a look at the story. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker signed a new bill into law Thursday, barring police from lying to underage kids during interrogations. That was a sigh, everyone. That was just a sigh. Commonly used interrogation tactics, such as promising leniency or insinuating that incriminating evidence exists, are banned when questioning suspects younger than 18 under the new law, which goes into effect January 1st, according to the Innocence Project, an organization focused on exonerating wrongly convicted people. These types of interrogation methods have been shown to lead to false confessions. They've also played a role in about 30% of all wrongful convictions later overturned by DNA. Another sigh. Maybe I can do two sighs at the same time. See, that's a lot of, I don't know if I can do that. Okay, so these types of conviction, the lying to kids, has attributed to 30% of all wrongful convictions later, overturned by DNA. And I want to say this, Illinois, it's the first state, the only state here in the country that is now outlawing police lying to kids while interrogating them. Illinois once was called the false confession capital of the U.S. The organization said because of a number of high-profile exonerations of people who falsely confessed to crimes they didn't commit. In Illinois alone, there have been 100 wrongful convictions predicated on false confessions, including 31 involving people under 18 years of age, said Lauren Kaisberg, legal director at the Illinois Innocence Project. How about that? I mean, so Illinois, the one state that police now can't lie to minors while interrogating them. I've always told my kids, if you're ever sitting down with a police officer, ask for a lawyer. And that's all you need to say. You can ask for me. You can even ask for your mom. I would say ask for a lawyer first. Oh, let's check out the chat, see what's going on. Cindy Plaza, glad to see you here, Cindy. It is. It's scary that it's still allowed with adults, and it is boggles the brain, Cindy, that cops can just lie to kids, right? You got a 14-year-old, you got a 13-year-old, you got a 12-year-old. I can go down all those numbers. It's still ridiculous. Oh, yes, but churches still lie to their children. No, listen, if churches didn't peddle in mistruths, I mean, that's all it is, really. I mean, yeah, there's some truths in churches, but if they didn't manipulate the truth, I don't think religion would be as powerful as it is. All right. The brazen dishonesty still stands out to me. I don't think I'll ever get used to it. Well, I think for smart people, right? We have this concept that we just don't understand how corrupt things are, right? It's difficult to wrap our minds around it because we live our lives. Most of us here, I would say like a vast majority of people watching this show in the chat, we try to live our lives honestly. And then we hear about the gross abuse of the system by the police. And it's stunning. That's what it is. Tobin says, I got expelled from junior high school, but had to let my friends and I back to school because of an illegal interrogation, huh? That's interesting, Tobin Templeman. B, glad to see that you're here. Paul Camish. I saw an interesting video the other day, Paul Camish, on, I believe it was like airsoft guns, or it wasn't an airsoft gun, but it was some kind of propelled projectile from a weapon that in theory could be used for home defense. I thought it was odd. So, Cindy Plaza, that's a very good question. And I'm glad that you asked that, because laws are useless unless they have any teeth to them, right? So you can say, police, don't lie to kids, but unless there's some kind of realistic punishment for the officers who do lie to kids, more than likely they'll just keep doing it. What's up, B? I don't know if I said hello to you yet, but I'll say hello right now. Glad to see that you're here. All right. Halftime tummy rub show, everyone. The halftime tummy rub show, middle of the show, where we do something funny. Please hit the like button. I have it written down here. Please hit the like button to the video. It means a lot to me, and it helps the channel out too. All right, let's do something comical.
Does anyone have a random 2-second should have been forgettable moment that somehow stuck with you and it unintentionally changed your life? I'll go first. About 9 years ago, I'm at my sister's apartment complex in Boston, and I agree to go get groceries. She texts me and says, hey, come down to the common room. I'll give you a grocery list and some cash, yada yada. So I go to the common room. She's sitting there on the sofa watching a movie with some guy who I later learned was some German tennis player, but anyway. And she gives me a grocery list. She gives me some cash. So the guy's just sitting there like... And I thought to myself, oh my God. That's what waiting looks like. You know, when you're meeting someone always gets there first, so one of you has to watch the other arriving. That's what it looks like to the person arriving. Just, I don't know who he is. I don't know his name. I just know. Never be the guy waiting. Always be arriving.
Always be arriving. As against to always be closing, ABC, right? Always be closing, Glengarry Glen Ross. Great movie. But always be arriving, ABA. All right. So you hit the thumbs up. Well, thank you. It's like rubbing Andy's tummy. I don't know. I think hitting the thumbs up is probably more. Yeah. I have body shame issues, everyone. Rubbing my own tummy makes me feel, I don't know. Less about me, more about the news cycle. That's what we're going to do. All right, COVID. There always has to be a story about COVID, unfortunately. Why? Because people just are There's still a pandemic going on amongst the unvaccinated. We know this microphone, don't we? The microphone says it knows that. And so this is just another, there's actually two COVID stories. One is this one. Surgeon General is deeply concerned about dangers unvaccinated adults pose to kids under 12. And you think, how can you get crazier than that? I'm glad you asked. The next story after that is 20% of Americans believe in the conspiracy theory that microchips are inside COVID-19 vaccines. 20%, that sounds like the number of diehard Trump supporters in this country, doesn't it? I wonder if there's a relationship there. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's do this story about the Surgeon General. Surgeon General is deeply concerned about dangers unvaccinated adults pose to kids under 12. Surgeon General Vivek, I'm sorry for butchering your first name, Murthy, said he is deeply concerned about unvaccinated people, including children, as some communities are seeing rising COVID-19 rates. During a Sunday appearance on ABC's This Week, Murthy first praised the progress the country has made in vaccinating millions of Americans. He also warned that we will see some breakthrough infections among vaccinated people, but that is expected and does not mean vaccines are not working. That's right. We have well over 100 million people vaccinated here in the States out of a population of like 330 million or so. So when you're dealing with large numbers, you're going to get some breakthrough infections. He turned his attention to children under the age of 12 who are not yet eligible for the vaccine, leaving them vulnerable to the crisis. Currently, trials are underway assessing the vaccine's effectiveness for that age group, and results are anticipated to be available in the fall. One FDA official told NBC News last week that the agency may approve the vaccine for children sometime in the middle of the winter if the trials go well. I want to focus on the kids for a moment here because this is such an important point we don't talk enough about, Murthy said. For our children under 12, and I say that as a dad who's got two kids who are 4 and 3 and who don't have a vaccine available yet for them, our kids depend on us. The people around them being protected, being vaccinated in order to shield them from the virus, and that's why, again, it's so important for us to get vaccinated. But people who don't want to get vaccinated will probably say, I have an immune system. I don't need the vaccine. And they're like, well, my kid probably has an immune system too. Oh, this kind of idiotic talk that goes amongst the anti-vaxxers. Dr. Anthony Fauci, we know who he is, also spoke about the dangers of misinformation over the weekend, saying that if health misinformation were as common in the era of polio as it is today, we would have never eradicated the deadly disease. I don't need to read the quote. But that is a chilling statement from Dr. Anthony Fauci. The concept, I'm going to use the word idea, that if we had this level of misinformation, then people wouldn't be there would still be polio around. And I'm going to go back to my point. This is when Andy starts talking about how parents don't have rights over their children. You don't. That you don't have dictatorial rights, that you're not their God, right? That they're not your slaves. They're not your thing. Your children are not your thing. And if you're not there to support the rights of your children, i.e. getting them vaccinated, I guess that's I.E. comma, getting them vaccinated, then it's the government's job to make sure that they get vaccinated. Because what's important is making sure your children's rights are upheld. And if the parents aren't doing it, it's the government's job to do it. You don't have rights over your children. You're not their God. You are not the dictator of your children. They are not your things. Radical concepts. And that does fly in the face of evangelical Christianity right there, by the way. All right. Well, you know, Sean, I'm amazed how many science-denying preachers have died from it and their followers don't learn from it. They didn't have faith, Sean, right? Or it was God's plan. I don't know. There can just be, if I had a hat, I could just take out reasons why people rationalize this kind of behavior. God's plan, rain falls on good and bad alike. They're testing our faith. This kind of idiocy. John Hudson. Loving my 5G. Can't wait for the 6G chip. Well, I hear that's the booster shot, right? That's the booster shot coming in. That'll give you the 6G chip. You got your 2 jabs, Sean. Congratulations. All right. I think I caught up with everyone here in the chat. So, yeah. Let's do the Florida man getting sentenced for breaking into the Capitol building on January 6th. We have time for that, right? Oh, we have plenty of time. Blowing through the news cycle today, everyone. But Sean has this. I just saw this comment. Sean says, I have an old friend who died a couple of months ago from COVID. I'm so sorry to hear that. He was science denying, young earth evangelical. Wow. When he died, his wife accused the doctors of lying about COVID. Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that about your friend. And it's tragic. It really is tragic. Just hearing these stories about people dying from COVID and then people refusing. You know, there was a story like about 6 months ago, 7 months ago, there was a nurse talking about people dying from COVID and refusing to believe they had COVID, thinking that they had the flu or some other kind of infection. Blazing Wizard Pope says, I've been shot once so far, getting the second one on the 10th. Congratulations, Blazing. Congratulations. Good for you. All right. Florida man. Got a video about Florida man. Let's take a look at this. Florida man sentenced on a felony charge in the Capitol siege. Oh, it's not as good as stories. Yeah, he is facing prison time. Is it a lot of prison time? No. Is it enough prison time? Definitely not. Well, let's do this thing.
First Capitol rioter has now been sentenced to prison on felony charges. The image of him seen around the country and the world for that matter. Paul Allard Hodgkins captured in this image after breaching the Senate chamber. What the judge said to him today about this image, about his role. Here's our senior national correspondent, Terry Moran, tonight.
Paul Hodgkins joined the mob that stormed the Capitol, and he made it all the way to the floor of the U.S. Senate, as you can see in this video captured by Luke Mogelson of The New Yorker.
This is our nation, not theirs.
Hodgkins, who brought goggles, glove, and a rope with him, pled guilty to one felony count of obstructing an official proceeding, admitting he was trying to stop the constitutional process of Congress certifying the election. In sentencing Hodgkins today, federal judge Randolph Moss noted that he was also carrying a Trump flag. This symbolism is unmistakable, the judge declared. In that act, he captured the threat to democracy we all witnessed. He was staking a claim on the floor of the U.S. Senate, not with an American flag, but with the flag of a single individual over the nation. Hodgkins, who prosecutors acknowledge committed no act of violence, spoke with remorse and regret. I put passion before my principles, which resulted in me violating the law for the first time in my life, he said, adding, I wish to state that I completely acknowledge and accept that Joseph R. Biden Jr. is rightfully and respectfully the President of the United States. Prosecutors wanted a sentence of 18 months in prison. The defense asked for house arrest. In the end, Judge Moss sentenced Hodgkins to 8 months in prison, 2 years probation.
All right, Terry Moran live in Washington tonight. And Terry, more than 200 people we know have been charged with.
All right, that's enough of that. So 8 months in prison. Why 8 months? Probably because he said the words that they wanted him to say. Joseph Biden is the legitimate president of the United States. That's probably the reason why. So that's why you got 8 months. That's what my guess is, as against the 18 months. Did you see the guy behind him in the picture? He looked like Elon Musk. He had a look of Elon Musk on him. That's what I thought. He doesn't seem to be the worst of the offenders. He was there. Right there. Right there. Yeah, I would be, when you can, you know, and there's a lot of, as a skeptic, right? You watch the news and you probably yell at the news. I mean, I yell at the TV every once in a while. I can't help that. I make snarky comments during commercials. And then I yell at the TV during the news. Probably not the most mentally healthy thing to do. But there's all these logical fallacies going about, you know, and it is wrong. I think it's wrong for him to only have gotten 8 months. But to say, like I said, there's a lot of bad arguments about this. I don't want to get into the weeds on this story because when I get into the weeds, that means I just burn up time. Be careful. That's how you start conspiracies. Make it with jokes and stuff, huh? That's right. All right. Be careful. All right. I caught up with the chat. 18 months. I would have been, it would have been better. 18 months would have been better than 8 months. That's for sure. And John Hudson, for those of us who've, yes, John Hudson, you are correct. 8 months. Now, how much will he actually serve of that time? Will it be the full 8 months? Probably not. One possible outcome of this is that he will probably never be able to own a gun with a felony on his record. That's interesting. He'll have to stick to one of those, what is it? The plastic guns, the ones you can print yourself. All right. And Sean says he'll probably get half of that. So he'll probably serve for, that's probably realistic, Sean, to tell you the truth. He gets sentenced for 8 months. He'll probably serve for 4 if he gets good behavior, if he's not doing anything crazy in prison. But once again, Dr. Mordecai, this is, will the prisoner get mental health care? This is the United States of America, sir. We don't do mental health care. Prison, for us here in the United States of America, prison is mental health care, or that's how it's treated. Implicitly, at least. Good morning, Dee Parks. How you doing? Dee Parks says, good morning. Sorry, I'm late. Was watching Bezos go into space instead of him using his money to become Batman. Yeah, Jeff Bezos is not going to become Batman. Yeah, I'm going to write a satirical post tomorrow. I was going to do it today, but a satirical post about a major scientist verbally attacking Bezos about going up into space. Would it be Buckaroo Banzai? Yeah, that's the poll for tomorrow, everyone. If you haven't watched Buckaroo Banzai, then it is a cult classic and it's well worth your hour and a half or so. All right, last story of the day that I'm covering. At least 20% of Americans believe the conspiracy theory that microchips are inside the COVID-19 vaccine, says YouGov study. A new study has found that 1 in 5 Americans believe that it is definitely true or probably true that there is a microchip in COVID-19 vaccines. The study by YouGov, in conjunction with The Economist, has found that 30 to 44-year-olds are most likely to believe this widely debunked conspiracy. It was 7% of people from this age group saying that it is definitely true, and 20% of them saying that it is probably true. Less than half the people surveyed said that it is definitely false. The conspiracy, suggesting that vaccines are a tool to implant microchips into people, has been widespread across the globe, acting as one of the major tales of misinformation that has punctuated the pandemic. There has never been any evidence to support the idea that microchips are part of the vaccine rollout. Despite this, false videos and content describing the false microchip idea in great detail continue to circulate and find an audience on social media. The microchip conspiracy suggests that the entire pandemic has been a cover to create and inject trackable microchips. Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates has been cast as a supervillain behind the plot. Well, if you don't feel powerful in your own life, if you don't feel like you have agency, then I think you're more than likely going to be either a Trump supporter as well as a vaccine denier. I think that's what happens. That if you don't feel agency, if you don't feel like you have personally, and you're going to be religious too, by the way. I mean, we've seen that societies that don't have good social safety nets become more religious over time. Is it any surprise that the less educated, the economically downtrodden areas in this country are both Trump supporters and vaccine deniers? It is not surprising at all. Cindy Plaza question: how a repentant ex-Trump supporter will do in prison? How is the political division in there? From what I understand, in prison, and I've watched a couple of videos. That's all. I've never been to prison. I've talked to people who've been to prison. It's more on racial boundaries in terms of how prison works. That's how I understand things. Okay. I watched the nurse put the needle in the vaccine bottle and saw the whole process all the way into my arm. There's no point that she could have put it in a chip. Well, yes, Sean, exactly. There's no chips in the vaccine, right? Blazing Wizard Pope. Can't we just start a scam business selling UV light vaccines to Trump supporters? And then just send a syringe with an LED inside it so it lights up when they squeeze it. I like that. I like that a lot. There's a lot of different scams people could do. I'm surprised there isn't one about magnets. Well, there is something about magnets, of course, in terms of the urban myth around the vaccines that they make you magnetic. If you saw that video by Paul Kamish about how he pranked a conspiracy theorist, hilarious. Eden's Aquaponics says, why would tech companies need to inject us with microchips when we already carrying tracking devices? Well, Eden, there's nothing rational about a lot of these conspiracy theories, right? The people who fall prey to conspiracy theories aren't really exceptional thinkers to begin with. And they've already been primed up. I will say evangelical Christianity in general primes you for believing in conspiracy theories. Why? Because Christianity has elements of conspiracy theory already. The persecution complex, the secret knowledge that only a few people really know. Yeah. All right. What have we done? What have we done today, everyone? We've actually covered a lot of news. We talked about Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz getting trolled by a merry prankster. Illinois becomes the only state in the union where police cannot lie to kids during interrogation. The Surgeon General speaks out against COVID. And of course, 20% of Americans, or those polled, believe that the vaccine has microchips in it. The sentencing of a rioter, and of course, the white privilege card found amongst supremacists and domestic terrorists. Covered a lot. Thank you for watching, everyone. We're doing the after party after show. If you want to be on the panel, the show runs from 10 to 11. And the link is in the description if you want to join us. Let's do something funny. This will calm you down. This will be a nice way to end the show, right? It's a pretty awesome cat, huh? Check out the chat one more time. Here we go. All right, I'm going to do the thank you video for our patrons and for YouTube members. As you will notice, there are no ads on the show because F late stage capitalism, F the YouTube algorithm, and fuck me being afraid to use the word fuck on camera. I don't know why I did that. All right. See you at 10 o'clock, everyone.